today, let's break down these basketball rules. It's about what happens when someone or the ball goes out of bounds. So, what is violations? A violation is simply breaking a rule. Let's talk about penalty. So, if someone breaks a rule, the other team gets the ball. They throw it back in at the closest spot to where the rule was broken, unless it's right behind the basket. So, out of bounds. These rules explain when a player or the ball is out of bounds. When a player is out of bounds, a player is out if any part of their body touches the floor or anything else outside the lines, even if it's above the lines. When the ball is out of bounds, the ball is out if it touches a player or anyone who's already out of bounds, the floor or anything outside the lines, the backboard supports, the back of the backboard, or anything above the court. So, who's responsible for the ball going out? The last person to touch the ball before it goes out is responsible. Even if something else makes it go out after that, if the ball goes out because a player touches it while they're out of bounds, that player is responsible. So, in jump ball situation, if a player moves out of bounds or into their own backcourt while holding the ball, it's a jump ball. So the referee tosses the ball up for both teams to try and get.
Dribbling. Dribbling starts with a player having gained control of a live ball on the court, throws, taps, rolls, or dribbles it on the floor and touches it again before it touches another player. This rule ensures that a player follow proper ball handling techniques and do not gain an unfair advantage by carrying or palming the ball. Dribble ends. When the player touches the ball with both hands simultaneously or permits the ball to come to rest in one or both hands. During a dribble, the ball may be thrown into the air provided it touches the floor or another player before the player who threw it touches it again with their hand. There's no limit to the number of steps a player may take when the ball isn't in contact with their hands. This rule ensures that players cannot illegally advance the ball by stopping and restarting dribbles. Fumbling. A player who accidentally loses and then regains control of a live ball on the court is considered to be fumbling the ball. A fumble occurs when a player mishandles the ball unintentionally. If a player fumbles while attempting to dribble, they can still recover the ball and start dribbling legally. This rule prevents players from being unfairly penalized for accidental mistakes. Not dribbles. Here are some situations that not considered as dribbles. First, successive shots for a field goal. If a player takes multiple shot attempts, it does not count as dribbling. Second, fumbling the ball at the beginning or at the end of the dribble. If a player loses control before starting or after finishing a dribble, it is not considered part of the dribble. Third, attempting to gain control of the ball by tapping it from the vicinity of other players. A player can tap or deflect the ball to gain position without it counting as a dribble. Fourth, tapping the ball from the control of another player. If a player taps the ball away from an opponent and gains possession, it is not considered as dribble. Fifth, deflecting a pass and gaining control of the ball. If a player intercepts a pass by deflecting it and then gains possession, they have not started a dribble. Sixth and last, tossing the ball from hand to hand and allowing it to come to rest before touching the floor, provided that no troubling violation is committed. This is not still a dribble as long as the player does not commit a troubling violation. This rule clarifies the situation where a player may be handling the ball but is not actually dribbling. It also helps referees make correct calls and prevents unnecessary violations. Rule: a player shall not dribble a second time after their first dribble has ended unless, between the two dribbles, they have lost control of a live ball on the court because of: first, a shot for field goal. If a player attempts a shot and regains possession, they can legally dribble again. Second, a touch of a ball by an opponent. If an opponent deflects or steals the ball but the original player regains possession, they can dribble again. This rule prevents double dribbling, which is when a player illegally starts a second dribble after already completing their first one. If players were allowed to dribble again freely, they could unfairly manipulate the ball and move without restrictions. However, if an opponent disrupts the player or the player shoots and retrieves their own rebound, they are allowed to dribble again. Conclusion: this rule ensures fair play and proper ball handling in basketball. This prevents players from gaining an unfair advantage by stopping and restarting dribbles at will, and they clarify situations where players can legally regain control of the ball. Understanding this rule is essential for players, coaches, and referees to maintain flow and fairness of the game.
So next is understanding basketball traveling rule. So what is traveling? In basketball, traveling is the illegal movement of one or both feet beyond the limits outlined in this article in any direction while holding a live ball on the court. Traveling happens when a player moves their feet in an incorrect way while holding the ball. You cannot take extra steps for move both feet without dribbling. So next is, what is a pivot? A pivot is the legal movement in which a player who is holding a live ball on the court steps once or more than once in any direction with the same foot, while the other foot, called the pivot foot, is kept as its point of contact with the floor. First rule is establishing a pivot foot for a player who catches a live ball on the court. In this, while standing with both feet on the floor, the moment one foot is lifted, the other becomes the pivot foot. In moving or dribbling, if foot is touching the floor, that foot becomes the pivot foot. If both feet are off the floor and the player lands on both feet simultaneously, the moment one foot is lifted, the other becomes the pivot foot. If both feet are off the floor and the player lands on one foot, then that foot becomes the pivot foot. If a player jumps off that foot and comes to a stop landing both feet simultaneously, then neither foot is a pivot foot. Next rule is progressing with the ball for a player who has established a pivot foot while having the control of a live ball on the court. In this, while standing with both feet on the floor, to start a dribble, the pivot foot may not be lifted before the ball is released from the hands. In moving or dribbling, to start a dribble, the pivot foot may not be lifted before the ball is released from the hands. To pass or shoot for a field goal, the player may jump off a pivot foot and land on one foot or both feet simultaneously, but after that, neither foot may be lifted from the floor before the ball is released from the hands. In coming to stop when neither foot is the pivot foot, to start a dribble, neither foot may be lifted before the ball is released from the hands. To pass or shoot for a field goal, one or both feet may be lifted but may not be returned to the floor before the ball is released from the hands. Last rule is player falling, lying, or sitting on the floor. It is legal when a player falls on the floor while holding the ball or while lying or sitting on the floor, gains control of the ball. It is a violation if the player then slides, rolls, or attempts to stand up while holding the ball.
3 seconds. A player shall not remain in the opponent's restricted area for more than 3 consecutive seconds, while his team is in control of a live ball in the front court and the game clock is running. Allowances must be made for a player who makes an attempt to leave the restricted area, is in restricted area when he or his teammate is in the act of shooting and the ball is leaving or has just left the player's hands on the shot for a field goal. Dribbled in the restricted area to shoot for a field goal after having been there for less than 3 seconds. So the purpose of 3 seconds is to prevent offensive players from staying in the paint or the area under the basket for more than 3 seconds. This forces players to move and keeps the game flowing. Closely guarded player. A player who is holding a live ball on the court is closely guarded when an opponent is in an active opposition at a distance of no more than 1 meter. A closely guarded player must pass or shoot or dribble the ball within 5 seconds. Closely guarded player is a player who is being defended very closely by an opponent. This often happens when a player is highly skilled or has the ball. 8 seconds definition. Number 1. A team's backcourt consists of its team's own basket, the inbounds part of the backboard, and that part of the court limited by the end line behind the team's own basket, the sidelines, and the center line. Number 2. A team's front court consists of the opponent's basket, the inbounds part of the backboard, and that part of the court limited by the end line behind the opponent's basket, the sidelines, and the inside edge of the center line nearest to the opponent's basket. Number 3. The ball goes into a team's front court when it touches the front court, it touches a player or an official who has part of his body in contact with the front court. Rule number 1. Whoever a player gains control of a live ball in his backcourt, his team must cause the ball to go into the front court within 8 seconds. Number 2. The 8 seconds period will continue with any time remaining when the team that is previously had control of the ball is awarded a throw in the backcourt as a result of a ball having gone out of bounds, a player of the same team having been injured, a jump ball situation, a double foul, a cancellation of equal penalties against both teams. So the purpose of 8 seconds requires a team to advance the ball past half court within 8 seconds. This prevents teams from stalling and encourages offensive play.
So now I will explain two important basketball rules, the 24-second shot clock violation and the backcourt violation. So here's the rule. Whenever a player gains control of a live ball on the court, his team must attempt a shot for a field goal within 24 seconds. So it means when a team gains control of the ball, they must attempt a field goal within 24 seconds. So to constitute a shot for a field goal within 24 seconds, so the ball must leave the player's hands before the 24-second device signal sounds. So it means the ball leaves the player's hands before the buzzer sounds or signal sounds. And after the ball has left the player's hands, the ball must touch the ring or enter the basket. So it means the ball hits the rim or goes into the basket after leaving the player's hands. So when a shot for a field goal is attempted near the end of the 24 period and the signal sound while the ball is in the air. So if the ball enters the basket, no violation has occurred. The signal shall be disregarded and the goal shall count. So it means if the ball goes into the basket, the shot counts, so there is no violation. And if the ball touches the ring but does not enter the basket, no violation has occurred. The signal should be disregarded and the game shall continue. So it means if the ball hits the rim but doesn't go in, the game continues with no violation. And if the ball hits the backboard or misses the ring, a violation has occurred until the opponents have gained immediate and clear of the ball, in which case the signal shall be disregarded and the game shall continue. It means if the ball misses the rim or only hits the backboard, it is a violation, unless the opposing team immediately gains control of the ball. So here's the procedure. It means that what happens if there is a mistake. So if the 24-second device was reset in error, the official may stop the game immediately as long as neither team is placed at a disadvantage. The 24-second device shall be corrected and possession of the ball shall be awarded to the team previously had control of the ball. So it means if the shot clock resets by mistake, the referee can stop the game, fix the clock, and return the ball to the correct team. So if the game is stopped by an official for any valid reason not connected with either team, a new 24-second period and possession of the ball shall be awarded to the team that previously had control of the ball. However, if in the judgment of the official, the opponents would be placed at a disadvantage, the 24-second device shall continue from the time it was stopped. So it means that the game is stopped for a reason unrelated to either team. The team that had the ball gets possession back with a new 24-second shot clock. And if the 24-second device signal sound in error while a team has control of the ball or neither has control of the ball, the signal shall be disregarded and the game shall continue. However, if in the judgment of the officials, the team in control of the ball has been placed at a disadvantage, the game shall be stopped. The 24-second device shall be corrected and the ball be awarded to the team. So it means if the buzzer sounds by mistake, the referee can ignore it and let the game continue, unless it disadvantages a team, in which case the game is stopped and corrected. So now let's move on to the ball returned to the backcourt. The ball goes into a team's backcourt when first it touches the backcourt, and the second is it touches a player or an official who has part of his body in contact with the backcourt. So it means if the ball is considered in the backcourt, if it touches the backcourt or touches a player or referee standing in the backcourt. So the ball has been illegally returned to the backcourt when a player of the team in control of the live ball is first the last to touch the ball in his front court, after which that player or a teammate is the first to touch the ball in the backcourt. So if a team has possession of the ball, a player last touches the ball in the front court and then they or their teammate is the first to touch it in the backcourt. So it is a violation. So the last to touch the ball in the backcourt, after which the ball touches the front court, and then it's first touched by that player or teammates in the backcourt. So it means a player last touches the ball in the backcourt, then it goes to the front court, and the same team touches it again in the backcourt, so it also a violation. This restriction applies to all situations in a team's front court, including throw-ins. So this rule applies even during throw-ins. So the rule: a player who is in control of a live ball may not cause the ball to be illegally returned to his backcourt. So it means a player cannot intentionally send the ball back to their own backcourt after gaining control in the front court. So the 24-second violation encourages team to play offensively within a limited time, preventing delays and making the game more exciting. The backcourt violation ensures that teams progress forward and do not unfairly reset their plays by returning the ball to their backcourt. The procedures for handling shot clock errors help maintain fairness, ensuring that no team gains an unfair advantage due to a technical mistake. By following this rule, players, coaches, and referees contribute to a more organized and competitive game, allowing for better sportsmanship and strategic play.
Next are the goaltending and interference. So what is goaltending and interference? These are the violations in basketball that occur when a player interferes with a shot attempt. So let's talk about its definition. A shot for a field goal or a free throw begins when the ball leaves the player's hands, and it ends when the ball enters the basket directly from above and remains within or passes through. No longer has the possibility of entering the basket, touches the ring, touches the floor, and becomes dead. And let's talk about its rules. Goaltending occurs during a field goal shot when a player touches the ball while it's completely above the ring and is on its downward flight to the basket after it has hit the backboard. Goaltending occurs during a free throw shot when a player touches the ball while it's in flight to the basket and before it touches the ring. Goaltending restrictions apply until the ball no longer has the possibility of entering the basket and the ball has touched the ring. And now, let's discuss about interference. Interference occurs during a field goal shot when a player touches the basket or backboard while the ball is in contact with the ring. A player reaches through the basket from below and touches the ball. A defensive player touches the ball or basket while the ball is within the basket and prevents it from passing through. A defensive player causes the backboard or ring to vibrate, preventing the ball from entering the basket, in the official's judgment. An offensive player causes the backboard or ring to vibrate, causing the ball to enter the basket, in the official's judgment. Interference occurs during a free throw shot when a player touches the ball, basket, or backboard while the ball has the possibility of entering the basket. A player reaches through the basket from below and touches the ball. A defensive player, during a last or only free throw, after the ball touches the ring, causes the backboard or ring to vibrate, preventing the ball from entering the basket, in the official's judgment. An offensive player, during a last or only free throw, after ball touches the ring, causes the backboard or ring to vibrate, causing the ball to enter the basket, in the official's judgment. While the ball is in the flight on a field goal shot and after, an official blows his whistle. The game clock signals the end of a period. No player shall touch the ball after it has touched the ring while it still has the possibility of entering the basket. All restrictions related to goaltending and interference apply. As for the penalty, if the violation is committed by an offensive player, no points are awarded. The ball is awarded to the opponents for a throw-in at the free throw line extended, unless otherwise stated in the rules. If the violation is committed by a defensive player, the offensive team is awarded 1 point when the ball was released for a free throw, 2 points when the ball was released from the 2-point field goal area, 3 points when the ball was released from the 3-point field goal area. The awarding of points is as if the ball had entered the basket.